Well, hello and welcome to probably the only video you'll watch on YouTube today that is not sponsored by Squarespace or by anyone else for that matters. The next X Summit is right around the corner. This video is only brought to you by the fun and thrill of creating a wish list of what I would like to see in the next generation of X-series cameras. Some of you might be surprised that I am not going to discuss like number of megapixels in this list, because the truth is more megapixel is really not a priority for me. If I want more megapixels, I have the GFX 100S right here that I've been using for more than a year now. So, I guess I should really be telling you where I am coming from with this list so that it will make a little bit of sense. Now, to me, the X series is really about versatility and flexibility. I need something that can perform well, both for photos and videos, and like in a wide array of situations. Something like the Swiss Army knife of cameras, for example, if you will. It needs to be able to shoot like sports, travel, birds, landscapes, and so on. And I don't expect it to be the best at any of this, like by any stretch of the imagination, but there's like no way that this camera could be like a better camera than Pro Gear specifically designed for sport photography, for example. But to me, it really needs to be like right there, right behind, breathing in the neck of those specialty cameras in their own categories. So that the specialty cameras feel like they need to keep pushing the envelope to remain relevant. So this camera, it doesn't need to be the best at any of that, but it needs to be responsive and reliable in all those situations. Alright, that was a very long preamble, so with all that out of the way, let's get started. My top 3 wishes for the upcoming generation of X-series cameras. Number 1, smart and simple people autofocus. I am talking about continuous tracking here. If you want to throw birds and animal AF in this, that's fine, you can do it. But the priority for me is really people. If you can really nail smart and simple people autofocus, then the rest can follow later as an expansion, like on something that is already working. It will be much easier to add it if the foundation is like good from the start. And the important part for me here is smart and simple, not speed. When the X series started like 10 years ago now, the autofocus was slow, it was like unreliable in low light conditions, and this ended up being a stigma on Fujifilm's cameras for a long time. And to delete this stigma, Fujifilm has put a lot of effort in improving its hardware, like both cameras and lenses, also in software, with like many big leaps taken with some of the earlier firmware updates, if you remember back in the days of like the XT1, for example. To this day though, it still feels like Fujifilm is living with a chip on their shoulder, because every time they release a new camera, they really insist in the brochure, in the ads, that it comes with the fastest autofocus you have ever seen. But the truth is that while speed is usually of the essence, as we all know, the autofocus speed on the X series has been more than fine, probably since the final firmware on the XT2, if you remember. And in reality, if you look at the subsequent incremental improvements, they have come at the cost of an increased complexity, layers and layers of new menus. And if you know what you're going to photograph, and you will only photograph that on the day, you can properly tailor the settings to get even better results, if that is your thing. But to be honest, like as far as I am concerned, this is really not something that I am looking for. It is like way too complex. Let's say like something shows up like right in front of me, like right now. Just one sec, let me think. What type of continuous autofocus am I gonna use? And then which settings in that am I gonna use? Should I put IF on or off? Like there's probably like a trillion combinations at this point that I could be choosing from. So no thank you, like I stop you right there. Let's stop this race to the bottom. What I need is something that will acquire and track a subject. That is a very simple request. Now, the underlying technology might be complex, there might be a lot of machine learning or whatever buzzwords, you know, there is right now in the tech industry. But, you know, this should all be happening inside the camera, not in my head. You know, I should be focusing on my photography, you know, not on jumping in menus and so on. Just let the camera identify what is the main subject in the frame and track it. And automatically use the autofocus settings that will give the best results. Don't let me find out. Use the brain in the machine to find it out. If the subject head is filling the frame, for example, then automatically use IAF. But by all means, please, if the subject is turning around, don't just lose focus because the subject does not have eyes in the back of the head and IAF was on, so now IAF has lost its target. So that's where, to me, the smart part is important. Once you have identified the subject, just keep automatically adjusting the autofocus settings. I don't even need to move a focus point. The camera should be able to determine automatically what is the best point to use for the subject. But whatever happens, just be sticky. You know, people, they won't teleport. So if you lose focus for a millisecond, the subject is not going to be suddenly at the other end of the focus range. So there's no need to pulse like crazy. Acquire and track. Smart and simple. This is like really the #1 on my list because I feel like every manufacturer in the world just keeps getting better and better at these kind of things. So you really don't want to fall off this wagon, in my opinion. #2 on my list. Let's move to a 4K workflow for video. Now, I know that most of people watching this video right now are watching it on the small screen on their phones. But like, if you look beyond YouTube, I think personally it's time to move definitely on to 4K. Computers can handle the files more easily now when you edit. 4K displays are everywhere, TV, computers, and so on. So it's time to move on. Now, obviously the X series bodies already shoot in 4K. So what do I mean by a 4K workflow? First of all, give me some 6K for some croppability for my error. And it can just be like 6K 30p because in any case I will only be using 6K 24p as far as I am concerned. So really that's all I need. Now, second, give me some 4K 120p. The 124 frame per second in 1080p on my Fujifilm camera is like really gorgeous. So just give me the same thing but in 4K. The elephant in the room when we talk about video is overheating. Personally, I have never suffered from the issue even when shooting in 4K 60p with my X-T4 because I don't shoot like that for continuous hours. I don't see the point. I use it in bursts for my B-roll, you know, very short clips. I made a video about that a few months ago, so you can check it out if you want to see the results. But I have seen in the comments of this video that actually many of you, for various reasons, you were having this issue. Hopefully things will be better for all of you with the XH2 or XH2S if there are several bodies released at the same time, but I really hope that this cooling fan accessory that will be available for purchase separately according to fujiremorse.com, again the most reliable remorse website about Fujifilm on the web. I hope that this accessory will not be necessary to shoot in 4K 120p, at least not in the way that I am doing it, which means several small clips rather than a big long clip of 4K 120p. Because if you need this accessory, in my opinion, this is really a big letdown. If you do 2 XH2 bodies and one of them is supposedly video oriented, then if a cooling fan is necessary, just incorporate it in this video oriented body. I, for one, will not go through the pain of having to flip out the screen to open the back, attach some sort of accessory, film whatever it is you want to film, then detach the accessory, flip back the screen, then move on to your next location and then go through that like all over again. Like, sounds like a nightmare. So no thank you. So give me 6K 24p for my A-roll and 4K 120p at least in bursts for my B-roll, and I'm good. 4K workflow unlocked. Number 3 on my list, a tilty and flippy screen a la XT100. How many videos from the most prominent photography channels have you seen on YouTube claiming that you need a flippy screen to shoot video? If you have heard it like more than 5 times, just hit the like button below and immediately like 1000 likes on this video right there. Like, I have heard that so many freaking times. I actually started to believe it. So when the X-T4 came out, I traded my beloved X-T3 for the X-T4, mostly to get the flippy screen. And so now that I've been using a flippy screen on my X-T4, I have realized the complete fallacy of this idea. Not only you are losing time constantly flipping your screen one way or the other, and it's usually the wrong way around, so you flip it back, but you also end up always handling your cameras with the screen sticking out to the side, which is really annoying and unpleasant for like the user experience. Really, like, the only case when the flippy screen is supposedly useful is when you film yourself like I am doing right now, but what I actually ended up realizing is that the screen on this camera right here is too small anyway. So unless you are holding the cameras like that, like selfie style, it really doesn't help. If I look at the screen like right now, like, I have strictly no idea whether I'm in focus or not. Like, really, it doesn't help. If that's what you need, like, you'll be better off with an external monitoring screen, in my opinion. Now, I am not saying that, you know, the people who are rooting for flippy screens, they're all like crazy out of their mind. You know, to each their own, like, really no problem. But what is really frustrating is that you can really get the best of both worlds by using a screen similar to the XT100 with a screen that can both tilt and then flip. So Fujifilm, please, like, instead of fostering some sort of divide between your users, just make everybody happy. You literally have done it before in one of your entry-level cameras, the XT100, so you definitely can do it in your more expensive offering as well. Now, just a bonus tip for you. What I would really like to see from Fujifilm as well during the X Summit is that they keep sticking to their passion, you know, to their root. I really want to see some of the engineers come on stage and just keep talking about the camera they have created, the lens, you know, they have fine-tuned, and, you know, when they do it, they look very geeky. It's a little bit weird. We're not used to seeing that, you know, from other cameras company, but to me, this really transpires like the passion and like the spirit of what's going on with the Fujifilm X system, and I really like to see that. So really, hopefully this is something that continues to live on, you know, even though it has nothing to do with, you know, technology and the new generation of cameras. It's just something that I really appreciate. So there you have it, the top 3 on my wish list for the next generation of X series cameras. The next X Summit is really right around the corner right now. It's at the end of May. So this is still very exciting because we can still speculate and dream. So let me know your own top 3 wishes for the next generation of X series cameras in the comments down below. But remember, please, positive and respectful. As usual, if you have liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. This really helps a lot the channel, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.